We had many failures, and each time it gets harder and harder and harder, but we got there in the end, and it's so worth it. But you really have to have some inner strength to get there. So our story, well, it starts off a little bit different because we couldn't conceive the natural way. So we had to go through a whole process of choosing a donor and figuring out where to begin. We saw a lot of different providers trying to figure out how to start the process and where to go. We ended up at a women's clinic where we did IUIs.
IUI for a bit too long.
Yeah, we did a lot of them, and that's during that process is where we realized that we had infertility. We tried and tried and tried, and it wasn't working out. And after that, we didn't really receive a lot of guidance. We didn't know what to do or where to go. We bounced around to a lot of different providers trying to figure out
sort of what was the next step, where to go from there.
And eventually we ended up at RMI, who recommended IVF, and that's how we ended up with Everett. I'm only 33. We started when I was around 30, and so we thought it would be really easy. We thought, you know, I'm young, we're not gonna have any problems, and we expected it to happen pretty quickly.
Right, statistically speaking, we're thinking maybe 4 to 6 months of IUIs.
And that's when it didn't work out. There was never, you could never put your finger on a reason and then fix that problem and move on. It was always just this shooting in the dark, trying to figure out where to go and what to do and what the problem was, and we still to this day don't know what the issue was. And so we tried for probably 2.5 years before we were successful. I found the process pretty demoralizing. You watch your friends and family get pregnant through these normal processes, and sure, it takes some time, but they get there, and they get there what seems relatively easy. And when you have infertility, every month that you don't get pregnant feels like a failure.
Frustration. I think that it was frustrating. I think that it was hard to watch her go through it, to feel demoralized, to feel like she wasn't able to do what she felt her body was naturally able to do. I think she felt a little bit lesser because of it.
Yeah, like as a woman, you feel like this is what I'm made for. This is what I'm meant to do, you know. And when you really want kids, it becomes, you know, you get to reach a certain age and you decide you want a family, and it really becomes a goal. And then to not be able to get there it's really
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we felt. We felt like exhausted with it.
Yeah. I have a really good group of friends who are actually, some of them going through fertility issues as well. So we were able to sort of share stories, you know, what were you doing, what doctors were you seeing, where were you in the process? So I think it was really nice to sort of hear other people's stories of what was going on with them and where they were in the process and what they were trying. So I think we were surrounded by a good group of friends.
I think what I would say to somebody going through infertility is you have to really dig deep and find the grit to continue, because it can be a very long process. It can be a very frustrating process, and you have to really dig your heels in because you know what you want and you will get there, but it is going to take time, and you will go through frustrations, and you will get to a deep point where you want to give up. But in order to reach your goal, you have to have that grit to continue.